Let's cut through the noise. Love doesn't always show up the way you expect it to, especially when it comes from someone avoidant. And if you're dealing with someone who pushes you away, goes silent, or gets distant the moment things get real, you're not crazy for wondering if they still care. Because sometimes they do. They're just terrified. Terrified of intimacy. Terrified of vulnerability. Terrified of you seeing the real them. But here's what you need to understand. Love doesn't disappear just because someone's afraid. It hides, it mutates, it looks like contradiction. So how do you know an avoidant still loves you? Even if they're too scared to say it out loud, here's what to look for. They stay in touch just enough. Not often, not deep, but just enough to keep a thread tied to you. That random check-in, that meme they send at midnight, that's not nothing. That's their version of reaching out. They get uncomfortable when you move on. Watch their energy shift. You mention someone new, and suddenly they're edgy, irritable, cold. That's not disinterest. That's fear of losing you. They show up when it matters, when you're sick, when you're grieving. When life punches you in the gut, they appear, maybe not with a love letter, but in the way they know how, quietly, hesitantly, but present. They mirror your emotions, then retreat. You get vulnerable, and for a second, they match you. You feel them meeting you there, then they shut down. That wasn't fake. That was too real, too fast. They remember the smallest things, your favorite snack, the way your voice changed when you talked about your childhood. The fact that you hate the sound of ticking clocks. They were listening, even when they pretended not to care. Now here's the truth. You can't fix someone's fear. You can't love them into safety. And you sure as hell can't wait forever hoping they'll choose courage. But understanding this helps you let go with clarity, or hang on with boundaries. Love doesn't always look like roses and poetry. Sometimes it looks like someone fighting with everything in them just to stay close, because closeness feels like danger. And if you see these signs, don't mistake silence for apathy. Sometimes silence is the loudest "I love you" an avoidant can whisper. Avoidants often show love in inconsistent, subtle ways. It doesn't look like what you're used to. It's not loud, it's not obvious, it's not the kind of love that shouts from the rooftops or floods your phone with messages. It's quiet, it's restrained, it slips through in moments that barely register, unless you're paying attention. You might notice it when they remember something small you said weeks ago. You might feel it when they sit beside you in silence during your worst days, not knowing what to say, but refusing to leave. Their love is there, but it's hidden beneath layers of fear, self-protection, and a deep need to feel safe. They don't know how to love openly because vulnerability feels like danger, because closeness feels like a threat. Because being seen, truly seen, terrifies them, so their love comes in strange forms, a late-night message asking if you got home safe, a shared song that says what they can't, a sudden pullback after a deep conversation. Not because they don't care, but because they care too much. They love in ways that protect their distance, while still keeping you close enough to not lose. It's confusing. One moment they're engaged, present, warm. The next they're cold, withdrawn, unreachable. And it's not because they're playing games. It's because connection activates old wounds. Love feels like risk. So instead of leaning in, they freeze. Instead of expressing, they retreat. But if you look closely, you'll see it. In the way they never really let you go. In the way they keep you in their orbit, even if from afar. In the way they try to be what you need. When they feel safe enough to try, it might not look like love, but it is. It's just wrapped in fear, and they're doing the best they can with the tools they have. They're not heartless, they're scared. Scared of needing someone who could hurt them. Scared of giving too much and losing themselves. Scared of being left after finally letting someone in. So yes, avoidants love, but their love often wears the mask of inconsistency. It hides in between their silences. It lives in the gaps between their presence and their absence. And if you've ever felt the warmth of their walls cracking, even for a moment, then you've seen it. You've felt it. They just didn't have the words to name it. They maintain minimal contact as a form of emotional tether. It's not nothing. It's not random. It's their way of staying connected without feeling too exposed. Avoidants fear emotional intensity, but they fear complete disconnection even more, so they reach out, just enough to keep the thread alive. A short message, a comment on your story, a funny video forwarded in the middle of the night. It might seem small, but it's strategic. It's the safest way for them to say, "I haven't forgotten you." They don't want to overwhelm you. They don't want to be overwhelmed by their own feelings, so they regulate the flow. They give you drops when what you want is depth, but those drops, those little points of contact, they matter, because for them, even minimal contact is effort. It's a risk, it's a crack in their armor. They won't say what they feel. They won't admit they miss you, but they'll send that one text, and in their world, that text says everything. They won't call just to talk, but they'll respond when you reach out, even if it's delayed. They won't plan dates or deep talks, but they'll show up in your feed, in your inbox, in your space. That's their version of holding on, because emotional closeness is overwhelming, but emotional absence feels like danger. So they stay on the edge, hovering, circling, watching, still there, still tied to you even if they pretend otherwise. And if you pull away completely, they feel it hard. They might not chase, but they'll notice. And sometimes when they fear they've really lost you, they'll break their pattern. Suddenly they'll reach out a little more. A phone call instead of a message, a longer reply, an invitation. It's not that they weren't feeling anything before. It's that their fear finally lost to their longing. Minimal contact is their safety net. It's how they keep you just close enough to feel secure. Without stepping into emotional exposure, it's a signal. A whisper, a quiet, guarded way of saying, "You still matter to me." But to recognize it, you have to understand the language of fear. You have to see the intention behind the distance. Because in the avoidance world, minimal contact isn't indifference. It's survival. It's how they tether themselves to love. Without drowning in it, they may act triggered or jealous when you pull away or move on, even if they never said how much you meant to them, even if they acted like they didn't care. Even if they kept their distance for weeks, months, or longer, the moment you start to detach, they feel it. The moment your attention shifts, something in them stirs, and it's not always logical. You might think, how can they be upset when they barely showed up? But love for avoidance doesn't follow logic. It follows fear. When you were there, consistent, available, they felt overwhelmed. It was too much closeness, too much emotional demand, so they backed off. They kept you at arm's length to feel safe. But the second you begin to move on, that safety feels like loss. They realize the thread they depended on is fraying, and they react, not with open conversations, not with confessions, but with irritation, coldness, or sudden passive-aggressive behavior. They may criticize the people you spend time with. They may grow distant in a way that feels colder than usual. They may even reappear, trying to reestablish control in subtle ways. Jealousy for them is not about possession. It's about threat, the threat of being replaced, the threat of being forgotten, the threat of being truly seen as someone who couldn't show up. They feel exposed, not by your actions, but by their own inaction, because somewhere deep down they know they've kept their love hidden, and now it might be too late, so their nervous system gets activated. Their emotions spike in ways they don't fully understand. They might not say, "I miss you." They might not say, "Please stay." But their energy shifts, their tone changes, their silence turns heavier. You feel it before they say a word. That's the sound of their fear speaking. That's the sound of jealousy without ownership. Avoidants often don't know how to process being triggered, so it comes out sideways. Sarcasm, judgment, withdrawal. They punish you with distance while secretly hoping you'll chase them. It's messy, it's confusing, but it's also revealing. Because if they didn't care, they wouldn't react. If you meant nothing, your absence wouldn't sting, but it does, and though they'll rarely admit it, your movement away wakes something up inside them, something they buried, something they were too scared to fully claim. Jealousy, for the avoidant, is proof of attachment they're still trying to deny, Triggered responses are a sign they still feel, but don't know how to face those feelings without losing control. Presence during hard times can be their version of "I care." They may not say the words. They may not offer the perfect comfort. They may not even know what to do or how to show up fully, but they come, they check in, they sit beside you quietly, awkwardly, maybe even with tension in their body. And that is their way of loving. For someone avoidant, showing up during your lowest moments takes a massive internal shift. Because hard times are emotionally intense. They carry the weight of vulnerability. And vulnerability is the very thing they try to avoid. But when they care really care, they push through that discomfort. They won't flood you with sympathy. They won't always know what to say, but they will be there, even if their presence is subtle. A text that says, "Are you okay?" An offer to drive you somewhere, a quiet visit where they bring you food even if they don't stay long. These aren't grand gestures, but for them they are enormous emotional risks. Because being close to someone's pain can trigger their own. Still, they come closer. Still, they stay. Longer than usual. Still, they hold space in the only way they know how. It might look like distance to you. It might feel too quiet, too reserved, but behind that silence is a storm of effort. They're choosing to care even when it's hard, even when every instinct in them says, pull away. This is not about perfection. It's about intention, and their intention, even if not expressed through words, is to support you. To say, "I can't fix this, but I won't disappear." You may not see it right away. You may question their lack of emotion. You may wonder why they seem uncomfortable or distracted, but the truth is, showing up for you in pain means they're stepping into their own discomfort too, because when you hurt, they feel helpless. And helplessness is one of the emotions they fear the most. Still, they come. Still, they try. And that is love in their language. No fireworks, no emotional declarations. Just presence, just consistency, just a quiet offering of "you're not alone," without having to say it. For someone who usually hides, being there when things fall apart is their most vulnerable act. It means you matter. It means they're willing to walk into your darkness, even if they're scared of their own. Emotional mirroring followed by withdrawal is common. It's one of the most confusing dynamics in an avoidant connection, because for a moment you feel seen, you open up, you share something vulnerable, something real. And they meet you there, their eyes soften, their words match your depth, their body language shifts. It feels like a breakthrough, like they're finally letting their guard down, like connection is possible. You think this is it, they feel it too, but then, suddenly they're gone, not physically maybe, but emotionally. They retreat, they pull back into silence, or they shut down completely. They become cold, detached, different, and you're left wondering what just happened. It's not that they were pretending, it's not that they were lying, it was real. They truly felt what you felt. They matched your vulnerability, even if just for a brief moment. But the intensity of that emotional exposure is what scares them. It's too close, too raw, too risky. So after the moment passes, they default to what they know withdrawal, because for them, emotional closeness often activates fear. Not fear of you, but fear of being consumed, fear of losing themselves in the connection, fear of needing someone too much. So they shut down to regain control. They distance themselves to feel safe again. And it feels personal, but it's not about you. It's about the weight of intimacy crashing against their internal walls. They mirror because they want to connect. Because deep down, they crave closeness like anyone else. But the second they feel emotionally open, the alarm bells go off. It's not logical. It's nervous system level panic. Fight, flight, freeze. Most often freeze or flee. So they disappear emotionally, sometimes physically too. They might cancel plans, stop replying, act like nothing happened, or pretend everything's fine, surface, level fine, and you feel like you're chasing something that was just there. Because it was, they let you in. And then they shut the door. It's not manipulation. It's not a game. It's survival. Emotional mirroring is their attempt to meet you. Withdrawal is their instinct to protect themselves from what that meeting stirs up. And this cycle repeats until they learn how to sit with their own fear, until they understand that intimacy doesn't mean danger, until they feel safe enough in themselves to stay even when it's hard. So if you've experienced that sudden shift, don't doubt what you felt in the moment. It was real, but real doesn't always mean ready. So if you're left questioning what happened after they pulled away, remember this: their withdrawal doesn't erase the connection you felt. It doesn't mean they didn't care. It means they cared more than they knew how to handle. Avoidants aren't heartless. They're overwhelmed by the very thing they long for. And while you can't force them to stay open, you can choose to stop making their fear your responsibility. See the truth, honor what was real, but never forget. Love shouldn't require you to shrink just to be tolerated. If someone's afraid of your depth, it's not your job to become shallow. You deserve connection that stays.